Who are the best DFS plays in fantasy football for Week 10 when you're looking at FanDuel cash games, DraftKings tournaments, and PrizePicks picks of the week? How about the injury updates you need to know going into Week 10 Sunday and Monday games? It's time to break it down right here and right now as we close another week and another edition of Locked On Fantasy Football.
Are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NFL fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Locked On Fantasy Football Podcast. As usual, I'm your host, Vinnie Iyer. When I'm not doing this, I'm writing about NFL and fantasy football for sportingnews.com. Check out my start-sit column, The Decider, as well as the picks against the spread. You can check out. We also have sleepers, busts, rankings, all the advice you need to know, latest injury updates. That's what we're going to provide here for you on Locked On Fantasy Football to close the week on a Friday. We'll get into that in our second segment. We'll look at a lot of key injuries this week affecting quarterbacks. So a lot of things on edge here as we wait for the official designations and rulings here later on Friday. But we have a good indication of who might be in or out and what you should prepare for in your fantasy football lineups this week. We'll get to that. We'll also look at the DFS picks of the week that I have based on their price points and return on investments, whether you're playing FanDuel cash games, DraftKings tournaments, and of course, our signature DFS sponsor, PrizePicks, will close the week and the show, giving you our 5 PrizePicks picks of the week that you can explore there on their website. So exciting stuff here to close the week. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. Thanks again for making Locked On Fantasy Football your first listen today. We're free and available to you on all platforms. All right, let's get into first. We'll do FanDuel and DraftKings here to top the show, and then we'll look at the injuries. And then, again, PrizePicks will get you covered here on our way out here on Locked On Fantasy Football. Quick reaction to last night's game there. The Panthers, mild upset over the Falcons. Disappointing performance all around by the Falcons, but Panthers really didn't have much going. D'Onta Foreman was the show there. That was pretty much it there. Not a lot of good fantasy stuff. Drake London did score, so that was something. He hadn't done something in a long time. So really, that was the only thing to look at. Laviska Shenault, really, on a rushing play of all things, but DJ Moore, Terrace Marshall. The weather was bad. We told he was going to be running. We thought it was going to be low scoring. That's what it was. And D'Onta Foreman was on the winning side of it. Big game by him for the second time in 3 weeks. Didn't have the 3 touchdowns, but still had one and really owned the Falcons here in the last 3 games. So they split the season series. Not much to see there in fantasy. Some greener pastures and higher scoring and better matchups ahead this weekend. Let's start there with that in Chicago. Justin Fields, last week we loved him in tournaments. He came through big time against the Dolphins. Guess what happened to Justin Fields now? Now he graduates to a cash game play. That's right. So we look at Justin Fields. He was a little bit volatile. We didn't know what we were going to get. He got the big numbers last week with the 3 touchdowns passing, even with less than 200 yards, but he almost ran for 200 yards and scored on the ground. So huge game, more than 40 points in a lot of formats there for Justin Fields. Cash games, he's good value in relation to a lot of other people on the board. Keep in mind, Josh Allen's banged up. We'll get into that there in our injury updates in our second segment. But Justin Fields, I mean, the Lions, it's at home. I mean, this is going to be a smash spot, right? I mean, the Lions just give up points in droves. I know last week, Aaron Rodgers, that was a mess, but that was very anomalous. 3 red zone interceptions that could have easily turned into touchdowns, and Rodgers could have had a huge, huge day in that game. But Fields, again, the running is always going to be there. Lions do struggle with running quarterbacks. We've seen that in the past. So they struggle with everything at this point. So Justin Fields feeling it. I like 2 through the air, good rushing day, and you're going to get that cash game high floor production you're looking for at 8,300 on FanDuel. Now, tournaments, we're going to find another guy that's going to wake up here in the second half of the season. It is Russell Wilson. You saw what the Chiefs did. You cannot throw, or you cannot run at all on the Titans. And really, are they going to force the running game with Melvin Gordon and Chase Edmonds and Latavius Murray in Tennessee? No. You got to attack that secondary. Christian Fulton is banged up here on the back end. He had a little bit of downgrade in practice. Their secondary is not good to begin with. You already have Amani Hooker battling through an injury. So corner safety, this team's not that great away from Kevin Byard here. So when you look at that, the matchups are great across the board. Greg Dulcich, Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton. We talked about those guys there being very effective, and Wilson's going to have high volume. So I see an opportunity for Wilson to really be a return on investment at 5,900 on DraftKings. Yeah, that's a good tournament play for sure. I think you can definitely get 3x times that return there on Russell Wilson this week just based on the passing volume alone, and that could be a sneaky high-scoring game. We'll check the weather in Tennessee, but Titans could control things with Derrick Henry, pull out to a lead here, and the Broncos could be throwing quite a bit in that game. So I do like Russell Wilson. Again, a lot of people may not be on him. He's got a negative connotation attached to him. He's coming off a bye week, so I do like Russell Wilson there as a maybe a bit of contrarian play. I think he'll have higher ownership than we expect, but 5,900, a good target there for DK. Saquon Barkley. Now, is it worth paying up the 9,500 for Barkley on FanDuel cash games? You betcha. I mean, you saw what Derrick Henry did. We paid up for Derrick Henry in this matchup against the Texans. Look, it was Miles Sanders last week. He's in a weird committee anyway, but Barkley's like Derrick Henry. He's going to dominate the touches. He's going to get 200 yards, folks. This Texans run defense cannot stop him. This is where the Giants want to win the game. So Saquon's going to get 200. If he gets 200, you're already in business for the most part there with the return. He's going to get a touchdown with that for sure, maybe two. So Saquon at 95, worth paying up for. Now, on the cheaper end, look, Justin Fields, we do like in cash games, but I also like David Montgomery. I don't think Justin Fields is going to bogart all the rushing production this week. He's going to leave some for his running backs. Montgomery does have a good history against the Lions. Lions can't stop the run either. The Bears want to be a running team, so a lot of Fields production still going to come through the running, but that's okay. We know he got it done with low volume passing last week. So David Montgomery, 6,700 there is the counter there if you want to save some money and have Saquon Barkley up in your cash games. Those are the guys I go with there. In tournaments, I want to be a little bit different. Travis Etienne, I'm going to ride the hot hand here. The Chiefs matchup, people might be, okay, the game script is a little bit concerning, but the Chiefs give up a lot of receptions to running backs. Travis Etienne can make his money there with the volume in the pass game, racking up those catches, yards from scrimmage there. 7,100 is a really good price to go off here potentially. Jaguars are going to feed him the ball. It doesn't matter if they're trailing or ahead by surprise in this game. It's all about Travis Etienne in this matchup. Jaylen Warren. Now, I had Deion Jackson written down here earlier in the week, but Deion Jackson's not going to play, it looks like, with the injury and the twist of events. Jonathan Taylor getting in full practice, so he's good to go. I don't want to pay up for Jonathan Taylor. I'm going to pay down a little bit even more from Deion Jackson and go to Jaylen Warren. All the rumblings out of Pittsburgh with Mike Tomlin, he wants to switch the backfield, spark things, get this offense going. Rookie. That's going to be Kenny Pickett, George Pickens. That's going to include Jaylen Warren there. So Warren against the Saints. The Saints' run defense is not all that it's cracked up to be. They gave up a big game to Kenny and Drake last week, so there is that explosive potential if Warren gets the key touches. Mike Tomlin and Matt Canada, they like to feed one back here, so it's not going to be suddenly a 50-50 split between Warren and Harris. I think it'd be a domination of Warren with Harris getting a handful of touches behind him. So keep that in mind. It's worth trying it out at 4,900 there for sure because you can really invest in other positions for those studs. Now, one player I like all around, wide receiver, Stefon Diggs. Revenge game. I don't care if it's Case Keenum because it's a revenge game for him against the Vikings. And Keenum and Diggs did hook up on the Minneapolis Miracle. Diggs is going to want to destroy this secondary. Cameron Dantzler is not going to play the young corner on the other side of Patrick Peterson. Diggs can smoke Patrick Peterson. Peterson is too slow. They're going to feed Diggs here, especially if it's Keenum. He's going to look more to the number one receiver. If it's Allen, he's going to feed Diggs. 9,100 on FanDuel for cash games and tournaments, 8,300 in cash games and tournaments on DraftKings. I want Stefon Diggs in all my lineups, and just make sure you pay up for him. He's the pay up of the week here easily. Doesn't matter, quarterback independent of the week with Stefon Diggs. Now let's go back to FanDuel cash games. I like Amari Cooper at 7,800. The Browns are going to be negative game script against the Dolphins there, so love that matchup. They're Secondary is a bit beat up. I think you can be schemed away from Xavier Howard here. Maybe you could get DPJ on Howard. That'll help Cooper on the other side or the slot. Amon-Ra St. Brown, speaking of the spot, 6,900 there on FanDuel. Kendall Vildor, the corner for the Bears, is hurt. So is Jalen Johnson. That means they might have to really rely on Kyler Gordon. The rookie from Washington is not that good in the slot. Amon-Ra should get some volume. There's no one else there. TJ Hawkinson's gone. Josh Reynolds is not going to play again. They're not going to force feed the tight end committee young guys. So Amon-Ra St. Brown, 6,900 there. So Diggs, Cooper, St. Brown as my choices there on FanDuel for your cash games. Now, who do we pair with Diggs in tournaments? I like Cortland Sutton, 5,600. Told you about Wilson, maybe a good attachment there. Really cheap combination there that you can make in a stack. Sutton is due. They want to get him the ball. It's a buy. He struggled the last month here of the season. They're going to get that combination going. So Cortland Sutton, I really like that. So good stack, 5,900 for Wilson, 5,600 for Sutton. And George Pickens. I told you about the Steelers rookies here. Well, great value for George Pickens as well. Jalen Warren, 4,900. You can also look to stack Pickens with Kenny Pickett, who's cheap. 5,000 there on DraftKings. That is great. I think George Pickens, no Chase Claypool. Deontay Johnson chemistry is fading. It's a great matchup here. Marshawn Lattimore / Paulson Adebo. Lattimore could miss the game as well, an abdomen injury. Adebo's been slowed down. He's not been very good. Love Pickens this week there. So a lot of good options here for you to really go off and DFS there on FanDuel DraftKings. Now, with the tight end and defense, we'd like to stick with the same entity here for both cash games and tournaments. For me, it's Cole Kmet, 5,300, 3,400. Love the numbers there. The Lions are really bad against the tight end. Kmet can really get there with a touchdown and a few yardage plays. He's involved in the offense, 3 touchdowns the past 2 weeks. Even with the low volume, I love Cole Kmet here. 5,300, 3,400, FanDuel and DraftKings. You have my defense of the week. It's against Andy Dalton. It's at home. They know Andy Dalton well. It's the Steelers going as cheap as we can go. They're coming off a bye as well. So I like a lot of things for the Steelers off the bye, don't I? I think they're going to adjust things with Mike Tomlin. They're too smart. They're going to really make sure that they're in position to do things better defensively here and shore up against the run. They'll have a healthier secondary, have the pass rush going here. 3,600 on FanDuel, 3,800 on DraftKings for the Steelers defense and special teams. So good stuff there, and that's how we look at it for FanDuel and DraftKings here in week number 10. Again, we'll get to our PrizePicks picks of the week in our final segment. Next up, we'll look at the injury updates. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. Well, you need some help, and that means you need help from LinkedIn Jobs. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates. LinkedIn Jobs helps find the right people for your team faster and for free. Really, LinkedIn Jobs, whether your business is small or a little bit bigger, they're going to take care of you. Have that winning team that you can put on the field. That's what NFL teams are looking for. That's what you should be looking for with your growing business. It's very easy to create a free job post on LinkedIn Jobs. There you can take a matter of minutes, and you just add your job in the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on the candidates with just the right skills, experience, so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. Really, it is excellent. Again, you want to make sure that you got all the resources possible there to get everyone on board in the same page on the right team, and that's what LinkedIn Jobs is going to be there for you. That's why small business will rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. All right, it is time to continue the show here on Locked On Fantasy Football. Thanks for making us your first listen today. For your second listen today, check out Locked On Sports Today. From the games that matter the most to the biggest stories in sports, go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with the local experts and insights only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports Today, available on this app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. All right, let's continue the show. Let's look at the injury updates. This is the not fun part of the week, but we need to know what's going on here with the latest. Kyler Murray popped up on the hamstring issue. He did not practice in an estimated designation there on Wednesday, but gotten limited work. He should be good to go. They said he was day-to-day, but he'll be playing against the Rams, but I don't love that matchup really this week at all. So I would fade him in DFS. I think you play him in season long, but not with that offensive line hurting. Josh Allen, that elbow injury, people were shrugging it off early in the week. It's a UCL. It cost him games a few years ago. I'm not feeling it here for Josh Allen playing. So Case Keenum there, we said Stefon Diggs independent of that. You definitely would fade, say, a Gabe Davis. You can't play extra guys, Dawson Knox. If Allen doesn't play, I think you're pretty much down to Diggs there to trust, and changes the game completely there for the Bills. But again, Diggs is too good to sit if Allen is out. But everything else you would fade really hard. So be prepared to be without Allen. I don't know if I would go to Case Keenum as my pivot. I would try to find someone on my bench to play instead there, or a streamer. Aaron Rodgers is going to play through that right thumb injury. Don't love him against the Cowboys this week, even though it's in Lambeau. Banged up receiving core, very tough. Cowboys defense, easier to run on. Matt Ryan is fine, but they're not going to start him. Even with Jeff Saturday taking over as head coach, Sam Ehlinger is going to start in Las Vegas against the Raiders. Matthew Stafford, we're not quite sure when he was in the concussion protocol, but 2 missed practices, not a good sign here. John Wolford, they seem like they're preparing for him to start against the Cardinals, so it could be Wolford versus Murray there. Look, you weren't really thinking about Stafford. I actually kind of like the matchup this week, but if it's Wolford, I can't quite trust him in that game against the Cardinals defense. Derek Carr, back injury, he's going to be good to go here for the Raiders. Did have 2 touchdowns last week. The Colts are tough, however, on quarterbacks. So keep that in mind. I think this is a Josh Jacobs game, especially with some injuries there at wide receiver and tight end. We'll talk about that in a moment. Ryan Tannehill should return for the Titans. We'll see about Treylon Burks, his rookie receiver there, the turf toe. He was doing some work in practice. There's a chance he's activated there. That would wake up this Titans passing game in time to play the Broncos this week. So a little bit more upside for the Titans offense with Tannehill returning versus Malik Willis this week. At running back, Ezekiel Elliott, 2 limited practices. He could return there to share the backfield with Tony Pollard against the Packers, and I think it'll be a run-heavy game script there, and Pollard may get a few more touches even if Elliott is back. DeAndre Swift, he's limited. I'm not recommending him in that Bears matchup there. I know the Bears are easy to run on, but there could be a lot of Jamal Williams. The snap count is too unpredictable. I want to see Swift get a full practice. Maybe that will happen there on Friday. Aaron Jones was fine, limited twice. Looked like he gave people a scare with that ankle injury after the game against the Lions last week, but he should be good to go, and there should be a lot of him and A.J. Dillon trying to keep the Packers in the game and in the season here. David Pierce, first time he's on the injury report, his rookie chest and shoulder injury, 2 limited practice, should be good to go against the Giants. Jonathan Taylor, this is good news, ankle injury, practice in full. He has to return because Deion Jackson is not going to play, probably 2 missed practices in the injury. So this backfield pivots back to Jonathan Taylor, and I'm feeling Jeff Saturday saying, okay, we got to feed our best player to try to get wins. Saturday wants to prove himself. So that could actually keep the anti-tanking in effect there for the Colts with Saturday wanting to prove himself with Taylor. Jerick McKinnon will be available with shoulder knee injuries for the Chiefs against the Jaguars. Not trusting that committee there this week. Malcolm Brown probably not going to be the Rams rotation. So we'll see. That might indicate that Kyron Williams is activated here with Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson to make that even more cloudy here, or cloudier, however you want to say it. Mark Ingram with a knee injury, probably going to miss a game. So more high volume here for Mark Ingram this week against the Steelers. You have Kyle Juszczyk here. He's going to return another cog for that 49ers offense to keep rolling with Jimmy Garoppolo and Christian McCaffrey and all them. DJ Dallas is going to be available behind Kenneth Walker, another smash spot for him against the Buccaneers. Dontrell Hilliard, a little bit of growing issue, might limit his touches there, but he's good to go here behind Derrick Henry. I don't like his volume, though, against the Broncos. J.D. McKissick's not going to play. That means Antonio Gibson probably going to get another key receiving role that game against the Eagles. Wide receiver Rondale Moore, hand issue, but he's good to go. Michael Gallup battling a chest. He'll be playing here. We have KJ Hamler, maybe not playing here with the hamstring injury, so even more love for Sutton and Judy. Should Hamler not play, as well as Greg Dulcich. Josh Reynolds probably going to miss another game with a back injury. Alan Lazard is going to be playing through that shoulder injury. Christian Watson will return from the concussion protocol here. Romeo Doubs, Sammy Watkins, probably not going to be available for Aaron Rodgers this week. We'll see about Brandon Cooks. It's not about the wrist. He's been limited in practice. We'll see if he returns to help there. Nico Collins has a chance of the growing injury to return. Philip Dorsett will play with the ankle injury. Miko Hardman, they were kind of brushing this off a little bit, but abdomen is a hard injury. We've seen it with Marshawn Lattimore. He's missed 2 practices. We'll see how he responds on Friday. Hunter Renfrow is not going to play for the Raiders. He's actually been placed on injured reserve with hamstring and ribs injury, so he's gone. More Mac Hollins. Keelan Cole, who is healthy with knee injury, he's probably going to pick up Renfrow snaps in the slot here with Devontae Adams and Mac Hollins. Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, not going to trust either of them to play. 2 missed practice for Allen. Surprised they didn't put him on IR, shut him down. Mike Williams, not on IR either, but neither are going to play here against the 49ers. DeAndre Carter will be out there with his ribs injury with Joshua Palmer. Jalen Waddle going to keep playing through that shoulder injury for the Dolphins against the Browns. Adam Thielen is good for an ankle there that he got in full practice there. He's good to go. Tough matchup, however, against the Bills. Jarvis Landry, we'll see if he can go against the Steelers this week. Kenny Golladay, limited. I don't count on him anyway, but he might be out there. Richie James should definitely return there to help Wan'Dale Robinson against the Texans. We have Deebo Samuel. Big news. Hamstring injury is good to go. 2 full practices. That's a great sign. No limitations for Deebo ahead of that good matchup against the Chargers. DK Metcalf, knee. Tyler Lockett, hamstring. Both good to go here for the Seahawks against the Buccaneers. They should be joined by Marquise Goodwin again with a growing injury. Mike Evans not playing as well of late. I think the ankle is affecting him, but he should be available with the ribs and ankle injury against the Seahawks. Russell Gage probably not available again with the hamstring. Julio Jones is going to be out there with his knee injury. Washington Commanders, Jahan Dotson. It's been a rough rookie year with the hamstring injury. He's pretty much done here in terms of fantasy football relevance. David Njoku, he said he was going to play against the Dolphins. He was in Miami, so that's probably why he's motivated. He played down in Miami with the Hurricanes, but ankle injury, 2 missed practice, not looking good for him to be activated this week. Dalton Schultz is going to play through his knee injury there for the Cowboys. This is an interesting development for the Colts. Mo Alley-Cox with an ankle. Jelani Woods, the rookie from Virginia with a shoulder injury, maybe not playing against the Raiders. What does that mean? It could be Kylan Granson has this tight end committee to himself here. And we were told about Granson and the connection here with one Sam Ellinger. They played in high school together. The Raiders are not good against the tight end. Just throw it out. Maybe if you're looking for a dart throw there like a Lions tight end was last week, Colts, Kylan Granson, somewhere you can look at. Evan Ingram should be okay with a back injury here against the Chiefs. He should be out there versus Dan Arnold. Speaking of the Chiefs, Travis Kelce neck injury. He's going to be good to go in that game. Raiders, another player on IR is Darren Waller. Finally, they decided to do that. So he's got the hamstring issue. He'll be out for multiple weeks here. So Foster Moreau gets a shot against the Colts there this week. Daniel Bellinger not quite ready to return from that eye injury. Noah Fant, Will Dissly will be out there in their committee against the Buccaneers. Decent matchup there. Cameron Brate does have a great matchup against the Seahawks, but Cade Otton is the play there this week. A few kicker injuries. Mason Crosby battling a little bit of a back issue. He should be good to go against the Cowboys. Matt Prater should play against the Rams. Not that I would go in either direction with those guys, but Dustin Hopkins probably going to miss a game. Cameron Dicker came up huge winning the game in Atlanta, so he's going to be the kicker. Matthew Wright is probably going to kick for the Steelers for Chris Boswell against the Saints. And there you have it. Those are your key injury updates here for week number 10. And we're going to watch those quarterbacks mode. So watch the late designations there for Allen and Stafford and make sure you have other plans. I think it's easier if you already had Stafford because you were already playing different players, but definitely with Allen, have your contingency ready and go pick up that player now if you were a little bit too optimistic about that situation before today. All right, we will get into our PrizePicks of the week, our DFS title sponsor here. We'll make sure that you can get into PrizePicks.com in our final segment and make those picks. Did you know over the holidays, property crimes such as burglaries and package theft spiked nationally? That's why our friends at SimpliSafe Home Security are offering 50% off their award-winning security system so that more families can feel safe and secure this holiday season. Order your SimpliSafe system for half off today. Enjoy advanced security and greater peace of mind this holiday season. Here's why I love it. I mean, just the advanced technology is there. I mean, they're just all over the place with their high-tech sensors there, the crystal clear HD live stream of the security cameras. They're going to be able to see what's going on there. And it's also the support team, whether there's some technical things that they need to make sure they're on top of, or we have monitoring agents there that are going to be on our side 24/7. SimpliSafe is going to make you feel safe around the clock with the most updated and advanced technology, and it doesn't get any better than that. That's why SimpliSafe was named the best home security system of 2022 by U.S. News and World Report. That's for a third year in a row. An emergency 24/7 professional monitoring agency uses fast protect technology exclusively from SimpliSafe to capture critical evidence and verify the threat is real so you can quickly get priority police response. Don't miss your chance to save big on the only security system I would recommend. Get 50% off any new SimpliSafe security system at simplisafe.com/LockedOnNFL today. This is the biggest discount of the year, so don't wait. That's simplisafe.com/LockedOnNFL. There's no safe like SimpliSafe. All right, it is time to close the show here on a Friday and a week of Locked On Fantasy Football ahead of Week 10. Again, I hope you had a good start with the Falcons-Panthers game, either by playing players or not playing players. And we are wishing you luck for Sunday and Monday's game. Now it's time to get into our PrizePicks picks of the week. And they're associated to our other DFS plays. Now, PrizePicks, getting in on PrizePicks is easy. You just pick 2 to 5 players, and if they score more or less than their PrizePicks projection that is available for that given week, you'll be good to go. And you can win up to 10 times your money there at PrizePicks. So just pick 2 to 5 players. Here are the 5 players that I'm recommending this week. Tied to what I said of the passing volume with Russell Wilson in Tennessee, 226.5 passing yards. That is pretty low for me. Russ cooks a little bit more than that in Nashville. Music City, music to my ears. Russell Wilson, more than 226.5. Saquon Barkley, 93.5. Did we say earlier that he's going to get 200 potentially? Yeah. I think he's going to clear 100 easily here. So more for Saquon Barkley at 93.5. Josh Jacobs. Look, there's no Darren Waller. There's no Hunter Renfrow. Overcorrection. The Raiders need to win this game. Shaquille Leonard got back on the injury report. So that could open up the Colts' run defense. You can't really pass on the Colts well. 83.5 is the number for rushing yards for Josh Jacobs. I'm going over that. They didn't give him enough last couple of weeks. Squeaky wheel gets the grease. 83.5 here. More. So he's the other running back I like to go above the PrizePicks projection for yards. Stefon Diggs. Again, revenge game going off. 87.5. Again, I actually like this more if it's Keenan because he's going to force feed Diggs a little bit more than Josh Allen. So 87.5 more for Stefon Diggs. We also like to find a low number that we want to go after. And this week, it's our DFS tight end of the week. It's Cole Kmet, 25.5. Yeah, we're going to take it. He can do this in 2 catches along with a touchdown. Let's hope. 25.5 here for Cole Kmet. He's going to hit this easily against the Lions. 2 catches, it's going to be done. And we're good to go here. So more for Cole Kmet. So how do we like it? How do we like it? More with all these guys here this week in PrizePicks, prize projections. Again, all correlated to DFS. That's how you want to play it. Whether you're season long, DFS, betting, however you're looking at it, play correlated plays, and you'll cash in big across platforms and PrizePicks. Great way to play daily fantasy sports anywhere that you live. All right, thanks again for making Locked On Fantasy Football your first listen. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast, the biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day. Available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. For Locked On Fantasy Football, this is Vinnie Iyer. Good luck in all your contests this week, whether they're seasonal, DFS. Go crush it. We'll catch you on the flip side Monday with our reactions to all that happened.